everybody! We're back. Hey, everybody!
Hey.
Hello, welcome, welcome. We are kicking off Q2. We are gonna talk about work-life balance again because it's important. I specifically requested this one. We're getting towards the end of the spring semester. I see we're all beautiful, but we're all exhausted. And still beautiful, but exhausted. So work-life balance, we're doing a check-in. I think it's super important, and I think it's going to be something that quarterly we continue to kind of have on the docket. As always, I am HA steering the ship, and we're gonna give all of our energy to the Google Fiber gods that my Google Fiber kicks in and doesn't cut us out this time. I've got Danielle up over yonder. I've got Jackie up over yonder. And Sari up over yonder. So today we're gonna do just a little bit of housekeeping. If you're not in our Discord server, be sure to join. Got a lot of cool initiatives that we are still working on within the Discord server. One of those things is kind of monthly wellness group, I guess you would say. So, if you have some fitness goals, if you have some health and wellness goals that you would like a group of folks to help keep you accountable, we have a group of folks that are doing the same things and kind of will help keep you on track. So, be sure to check that out. We also have Tip Yourself Thursdays. So, basically, that means every Thursday we want you to take time to do something for you. Really ties in pretty well with our theme for tonight, which is your work-life balance. So check out the Discord server. I'm sure somebody's already exclamation pointed that, so thank you so much. And yeah, we are gonna kick it off to Jackie to actually talk about the what we did for our wellness March recap.
I forgot it was me. Yeah. Okay. So, before March happened, several of us were talking about how we just kind of wanted to get back into being healthy, and then our very famous friend who we all love, Karen Ruggles, suggested a wellness channel working with Danielle, and then we created it, and it was Health and Wellness channel, and we all created goals that we posted updates to and our struggles each week and what we needed to reevaluate. And at the end of it, we did. And it's hard to admit that you didn't hit a goal or that you need to maybe reassess your goal and recommit to anything. And I'm just glad that we were all able to do that because a lot of us either we hit our goals, we're like, yes, and here's a new goal. Or you know what? At the end of the month, it just got too much work because I don't know why we started in March because it was one of the busiest months for a lot of us. But we're redoing it. We're re-going. I think that's the best thing about our community is that we're able to express all of our happiness, but then how we are struggling, and maybe someone else has a pointer of how to keep going.
Yeah. I think we kind of started because I was, I think only Sari knows this. The rest don't. The rest do know this, that I was heavily involved in physical fitness prior to esports. So I have completely lost that part of myself. And that just probably has to do with like my work ethic where I'm just going to throw myself in all 110% and I won't do anything. It's all or nothing with me. So, when you work out like a shit ton where you're training for full triathlons and full like half marathons, something like a walk or like a 30-minute bike ride doesn't actually feel like fitness, which is funny right now for me to say because I'm not doing any of that shit. So it's just like this weird thing that you kind of have to wrap your head around. So one of my very, very good friends knows that I thrive off of goals and benchmarks. And so she just kind of told me, I said, hey, because I started telling her, basically we hadn't talked for several months, and I was like, bitch, I miss you. You're my favorite person. Where are you? And so then we started talking, and then I started telling Karen and Sari about it, and then it just kind of evolved into Karen's beautiful self and asking the whole entire world to join. So that's where the goal was. And it's funny that you included the part where you were like, well, it's hard to admit if you didn't reach a goal or get a goal, because I reached my goal. If I set a goal, I reach it. But there's just too much going on for this month for me to even like choose a goal, which is stupid. Like I could walk and that should be my goal, but I wrap my head around that it's all or nothing. So we have some fun news about next week. After next week, I am going to go back full in and count my calories again and completely focus on it, because I am not the best me, even though you all see this version of me. This is not the best version of Danielle.
You're
So,
sexy to me.
Thanks.
And
Love it.
Yeah.
I also want to give a nod to Anissa, who's one of our first ENC follower, I think, or community member, if I really want to think about it. And I think she sets a really good example on the variations of what those goals could look like. Her health and wellness goals were really focused on reading and just individual internal processes that she wants to do. They're different for everyone, obviously. Danielle's are heavily into physical fitness. A lot of us are in routine. A lot of us are in hydration, eating better, just anything that you want to do to kind of recheck yourself. And the beauty of kind of the community and what we really have there is it's different for everybody, and yours is what you need it to be. And I really love the way Anissa's kind of been handling it, because she keeps us posted. Okay, I read this many more pages, and here's where I'm going, and here's what I'm doing. And it might not feel like a traditional health and wellness goal, but it totally is one. And I love that everyone supports each other, no matter how different your health and wellness goal is. It's what are you reading? I want to hear about it. That's awesome. Let's keep going. And I think that's great.
My health and wellness goals, I started in March and realized quickly that it was not what I wanted it to be. So I actually have kind of tailored mine to be my end goal. Instead of it doing month chunks, my end goal is now Dragon Con, which, if anybody knows me, Dragon Con is like my pinnacle of my life at this point in time. It's like my one thing that I do every single year, and I do it big. I do the cosplays, I do that whole thing. So like I've got goals to hit a certain weight by that point in time. I've got goals to, like, I don't want to have con fatigue, right? So I want to make sure that I walk so I can continue to like walk Dragon Con without my feet getting hurt. I want to be able to finish my cosplays on time and not have to be hot gluing in a hotel room. So like you can even take your own personal goals and like tailor them to not just within a month, but tailor them to different events or different things that are important to you. So it can be whatever you want it to be.
Yeah, I think an important takeaway is that we're all struggling in some capacity. It just looks different, like everyone said, that for every person. Mine is not just surrounded about fitness, Sari. I think the whole health and wellness comes with me surrounding fitness. So with doing that, it's all drinking water. I end up just naturally drinking that much water. I just naturally end up doing that. I naturally have more clarity because I'm walking outside and not listening and not on my phone and not all those. Mental health is super clear for me. Like, not mental health, but like fog, I should say. And I do all of my best thinking on a long 40-mile bike ride or a 10-mile run. So yeah.
I think it's important to.
I hate reading, by the way.
I love reading. Everyone knows it. But I think I have my book up like on my phone.
You're not reading during this.
I'm not, but I was right before.
Are you?
I'm not. Stop. I think it's important to be able to voice when you need help, though. Like, you know what? I didn't hit my goal this week, and to be able to just type that out and feel safe enough to like express that you didn't hit it and that you need advice or help on how maybe to move forward next week, or even someone to be like, hey, that's okay, get it next week, get it, like you're gonna do better. I think that's part of our community too, is that we're there to support you when you don't hit those marks.
100%. I totally agree with you. I love it.
Awesome. So, work-life balance, definitely what we're talking about today. It's an important topic, and it's one that I am really passionate about. And I think that I come from a very unique position that I think a lot of other folks within our particular collegiate esports ecosystem doesn't have, which is I was a director and a coach for a couple of years, and I'm still in collegiate esports, but I am now in a role in which I do have more free time than I did when I was a coach and a director. So now I'm able to kind of look back on my time and see where I could have made better choices for myself as an individual. And it's something that if there's anything that I can do for my friends, all of you beautiful people who are still coaches and directors, just try to impart some clarity, maybe maybe is the word for it.
OG wisdom.
Yeah, wisdom. Just I like if somebody would be able to just step back for me and be able to be like, look, I can kind of see. I know that maybe you are not able to see it because you guys are so in the trenches. It's April, it's playoffs, students are getting close to the end of the semesters, it's finals, you've got a million and 10 things that are currently happening right now, and it's so hard to see past your giant to-do list like that is right in front of you. So that's why I think it's super important to keep bringing, at least quarterly, keep bringing the conversation back to you guys, back to us, and making sure that health and wellness and taking time for you to do the things that make you who you are is still really important. So um, how how do you guys how are you guys able to, when you're in the trenches, when you're in there, you go to the facility and it's like 10 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes you have to get there a little bit earlier because we all know once the students start showing up at the facility, your productivity for getting emails and things done goes down, right? The productivity does go down because you're there for the students to help them with what they need. How do you know, like, when you need to take a step back? How do you do that? Are you having trouble doing that? Like, how do you gauge when it's failing, right? Like when you're like, oh,
Yeah.
here we go.
Well, and I think that's the hardest part, right? Is that the biggest moment of clarity that tells you you need to do better with your work-life balance is when you failed, right? So it's like when you're at the pain point is when you're like, oh, this is not working. And so um it it's like a double-edged sword that's what triggers it is the I got to do something about it when you're completely capped out of energy, when you're completely piled on with work, and then you end up putting it off, right? You're like, well, let me just get through this season, let me just get through this weekend, let me just get through this event, let me just get through this X invisible amount of time, and then I will have the clarity to be able to prioritize myself. And I think the goal that we would all have as like a society and what we talk about in here is being able to get ahead of it. But it's so hard to get ahead of it when you're in the thick of it, and when you're in the thick of it is when you need the help the most. So I love AJ's idea about these, like, constant check-ins, because the constant check-ins are what allow us to force ourselves to look at how we're approaching our job, how we're approaching work, how we're approaching life, um, beyond when we're at our lowest or beyond when it hurts us the most. And I think that if we really want this to be able to be something that we can all grow towards in whatever way works best for us, staying ahead of it is important. And I honestly think that the timing of this conversation today is great because, especially for those of us that are in the collegiate realm, spring season is wrapping up. So right now you're done, you're dead. However, what's right on the other side of it is summer, which is still busy and it still has summer camps and it still has the full workload, but it's a really good time to readdress before your fall competitive season starts. And so to start talking about it now rather than waiting until the end of May when school's out for the summer, however you guys usually work with it, and then trying to get everything done, you can kind of put yourself a step ahead in this game. And I like that strategy of approaching work-life balance in times beyond when you're just dead when you're just spent. I don't know if that makes any sense.
No, it does. It's funny because I think that's kind of what I went through, but I'm the opposite where I'll just keep fucking working. Sorry, I dropped that bomb until I die. And then I lose myself completely. And I think that's basically what the culmination of that for me is I was like, wait a minute, I am hyper successful and super successful and all these things of work and all of this stuff. And I lost a shit ton of weight. Why can't I be successful at all these things at once? And so now then doubt, and then it's like, well, once you get home, I'm exhausted. What do I do? So my goal going into like next year is making sure I prioritize those things and not eating shit and not putting shit into my body, because you are more productive. And those things. For me, and this doesn't work for everyone, but I know for a fact that like if I wait to work out till the end of the day, it's not going to happen. So I need to start my day out with that. So that way I don't have time to tell my brain doesn't have time to tell me that I am tired and I can't do this, because it's hard to combat that doubt. Even us strong-willed individuals, I still can't, I am having a hard time personally doing that. Which is funny because, I'm think I'm the bullheadedest one of us, maybe. I might be. Am I?
No. What? You? No.
So
Listen.
I go about it a little differently, just because after my first semester and my relationship with Caroline really plummeted. When she's my daughter, she just turned 4. So I prioritized my work life around her. I made sure that I was there in the mornings for her and afternoons. So I make sure, like, obviously right now, but she knows she'll probably come down and say hi to you guys eventually. But I prioritize time with my kids, and I also block out that's just how I have a work life, because I block out specifically on my calendar for anyone within our workspace between certain hours that I'm not available. And if people schedule that, I'm like, well, I'm a maybe, but we'll see. And then this semester specifically, which has been so hard for me, I switched to a new tracking system, and I don't reply to emails or DMs on the weekends. Like, it's just so easy because I have my phone, I have my email on my phone, and it's just so easy to look at it and just to reply really quickly. But I realized that if I'm going to reply, what if they reply back and I'm not replying back right away? So I specifically wait until Monday to go through those emails. And I'm going to share this in our Discord later, but I found this on TikTok because I love TikTok and I find everything there.
As it gets banned from the United States. This
Yep.
this isn't going to age well, guys. Go ahead. Sorry.
Made it. Sorry, it's our first time here. She has been trying to make it here for the
your
past like
twin?
2 months. Yeah, Renoodle's my twin. She just made it. I'm so happy. Okay, so I have this spreadsheet where I add my monthly to-do list, my progress, the due date, and the value added that this project is. And then I have a follow-up that I'll move it down. And then at the very bottom, I have unplanned asks. So every time you get an unplanned ask from someone within your organization or somewhere else, put it there, because that's something that isn't in your job description that you can use towards creating better compensation, why you're available to your team, and then also if you need to add someone else to your position because you have all these unplanned asks. And this is going to be anything and everything. But I like spreadsheets.
The most type A thing ever.
I love spreadsheets.
I love it. I'm not hating. I'm super type A.
I'm going to put in the Discord later after this to show you what I do, but I found it on TikTok, and I'm going to do it monthly to see how it goes. At the bottom, there's monthly accomplishments that you can put too, but that way you're tracking yourself and holding yourself accountable, but also your employer and the people you work with too.
I love that. That's so smart.
Yeah.
I think what you're saying too is helpful because it touches on a topic that we haven't necessarily brought up, but is so true. Is I think the thing that hurts work-life balance the most, especially for a lot of us that are working within this esports space, is there are the things you have to do, and then there are the things you want to do, even if both of those are work-related, right? Even if we're taking the work part of work-life balance, it's the I have my job and the things I'm required to do on a regular basis, and then I have the things that I want to do because I want to grow within this space, or I want to grow as a person, or I want to grow within my career, and I want to grow within my like, you know, lifelong pursuit of where we're kind of going to make something better in this world. And it's hard to I hate when I get bogged down with things that I have to do that prevent me from doing things that I want to do, and I'm trying to fit them all within the same kind of bucket. And I feel like what you're talking about, Jackie, like reflecting on accomplishments, things you want to work on, specific projects, allows you to make room for both my job, but then the things that are, I don't know, and not saying that this is what it's for, but the things that are going to get you out of your job one day, or the things that are going to elevate you at your job one day, or the things that are going to lead you to career steps that you really do want to take. Being able to make room for that without carving out time from the life part of work-life balance is difficult. And I think what you're articulating in focusing on accomplishments, milestones, special projects, things that you want to commend yourself for, is the right way to do that. And I think it's really smart because it allows for both sides of the work side to happen. The side that you have to do it and the side that fulfills you. And maybe those both come from the same place, but I think that your plan and your structure helps do that. So I think that's really smart.
TikTok.
I would say I think we should comment. I mean, I'm gonna do a nod here to our friend Jorge because we talk about Jorge a lot. And I'm just going to do a general celebration on this stream for anybody who's watching. Jorge, aka Hispanic Phenom in chat, is just one of the most amazing people ever. He runs the program at UNC Charlotte. He is a student that runs himself more professionally and more organized and more experienced than a lot of staff that you'll see in this space. I've never met any student like him. I've never seen anybody as strong as he is. If I was like that as a student, I would not need this chat about work-life balance right now because I'd be the most successful person in the entire world. But we love you, Jorge, and we're so glad to have you as part of our community, and we're so glad to always see you in the chat. But Jorge does talk a lot in the chat of how much that this conversation is really resonating with him, because finding balance with esports and life heavily, and I can't imagine from a student perspective knowing you're waiting for what's on that other side of graduation. And for someone like you, Jorge, who's doing what people are striving for after graduation right now, it's how can you convince yourself that it's okay to take a step back? When is it okay to take a step back? Everything is right now. You're getting all these opportunities. You're getting things that you're passionate about. It's happening. How do you keep yourself from letting what you're passionate about kill your spirit when you're 22? And I know how difficult that must be. And I hear what you're saying in that conversation, and I do think what Jackie was saying, he said what Jackie was saying was resonating, and I'm glad that it was, because I do think that's what it is knowing there's things you want to do and there's things you have to do, and being able to balance the two is tough. And sometimes I think, especially in your case, Jorge, and a lot of what Danielle was saying too, is like the more successful you become in what you're doing, the harder it gets, because you feel like you need to try to find that next level of, oh my God, okay, now I'm getting invited to these things, and now I'm getting these opportunities. I want to take those opportunities. And then all of a sudden you turn around, you're like, I haven't slept in weeks. But how do I take back on those opportunities? And I love the idea of just leaning heavily into accomplishments, because we don't take a lot of time to stop and say, celebrating this, or that is a cool opportunity, but does it really connect with any of the things that I've outlined as something that I really want to accomplish? And I don't think we have the answers. I don't think any of us are mastering work-life balance, and that's why we want to keep the conversation open. And so sharing tips and sharing things that you're experiencing is really what this is all about, because if there was a master way of doing this, then we'd all be doing it.
We need to move to Norway or Sweden. Yes. They pay you to go on a 3-month vacation. So
I could not go on a 3-month vacation. You guys would not like me.
I
really could.
could.
Sari and I in a vacation together would end up in working. Let's be serious.
Mm-hmm.
So she came, just so for everybody that knows, Sari does our run of show. Okay. Sari came for me in our run of show. I just want to tee this up, okay? Because I am the most guilty party of this entire thing. So basically, we're talking about obviously work-life balance. So what happens when you can't seem to? I can't even say it without laughing. What happens when you can't seem to stop taking on more work? So we know we want to what we want, and we need work-life balance, which we all know. I know that. And far too often, we're the ones that prevent ourselves from getting it because we can't seem to stop taking on more responsibilities. I can't even say this without dying laughing. This is so unfair. How do we set boundaries to prevent this while still providing opportunities to grow? So I am in charge of a lot of things at once, and they all don't communicate well together. So I have ultimately decided recently, and the ladies know this, to step down as the chair of our traditional athletic conference for esports. We're one of the few conferences that honor esports within athletics. Like truly, the athletic directors vote on it. We have a commissioner. All of those things. Well, it's a lot of work. It's actually more work than being on the board, being on the EEC, all of those things. For those that don't know, and it's the one thing that I could identify as something that uh, I had experience. I did it for a year, and it's something that I could easily remove without it being affecting me too much. I think that sitting on the board of directors will only elevate my career in the long term. So basically, I think it's identifying the things that don't serve purpose, and finding hey, you tried it, you did it. It doesn't mean you fail because you step down. It doesn't mean you fail because you stop doing it. It means, I guess you have more strength and power to recognize that this thing is the thing that's affecting my mental health and my ability to do really good work with other jobs. And so yeah, and now with all my free time, I'll work out again. Just kidding. I decided to sign up and go to grad school and pursue an MBA. I am the gift that keeps on giving. I don't know if you also
not yourself.
no. The other part is I got nominated on the campus for staff senate as well. The day I decided I was stepping down as chair, so I was like, why are you even thinking about this, Danielle? You need to. I still have yet to respond. Sorry, thank you. I really appreciate. I don't appreciate whoever nominated me, but I appreciate them thinking of me. I don't know how to nicely say no, thanks, man. But yeah, I think it's recognizing the things that don't serve you purpose, and also updating my resume and realizing I have a page of things that aren't work that I list. I don't know how to unlist them. It's ridiculous. But anyway,
Recognizing the things that don't sparkle with you, that don't sparkle for you, I think is important. I think that there's always. I think that this was probably my issue that I'm also kind of been reflecting on for the past couple of weeks. Not that it's collegiate esports specific, but being involved with kind of other groups around Kansas City, like being involved with KC Game On, being involved with the Kansas City Esports Coalition, just kind of being involved with those multiple groups, also being involved with Esports and Coffee, and NACE being more than a full-time job. I'm also starting to realize that there are things that used to sparkle with me that don't sparkle with me anymore. But I have also had a hard time with recognizing that it's okay to kind of to realize that at the time that those things were spun up and when I was a part of them that it was something that I wanted to do. It was something that did sparkle with me and bring me joy. But it's okay to take a step back and realize when it's not when it's not the same thing anymore. I think I've always had a difficult time stepping away from situations that no longer sparkle with me. So I'm working on that. I'm gonna say I'm working on that.
Well, it's
Okay.
hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that though because it's like the big thing that we lean heavily into and like the first I guess step into setting those boundaries or to figuring out that process is communicating, right? And it's the fact of trying to get yourself to a point where you can say, like, I'm doing that now. We have a huge event that's next week. We've been working towards it. I'm the executive producer of the event, so I have to focus on the entire week. And there's so
What
many
event is
moving
that?
pieces. You'll hear about it later. And
I tried. Go
I've
ahead.
tried to like get ahead of it and say, like, I'm getting a ton of outreach. I'm getting a ton of DMs, a ton of emails. Hi, I'd like to have a call. Hi, I'd like to have a call. And I'm trying right now to say, hi, I can do a call in May. First week of May is really good for me. I'm getting through an event and I'm trying not to say, like, oh, well, if the event ends next Friday, then the following Monday I'm ready. Because then all of a sudden my following Monday is jam packed and I can't really figure out how to navigate it. And so the key to taking steps back or the key to like starting to even slightly disassociate yourself, like what AJ was saying, is communication and say, hi, I just want to let you know I've taken on X. I'm starting grad school. I'm doing X. My son's in baseball now, and I am unavailable Wednesdays, Fridays, Saturdays, Mondays, and I feel like every other day at this point. But communicating that ahead of time, I'm gonna have to take a step back, or I'm gonna have to be a number two in this conversation. I need somebody else to lead it. That's where you get to at least feel the relief, because unfortunately, like a lot of the stuff that you have when you're like underwater, you do to yourself because it's like guilt and it's stress and it's pressure, and we put that on ourselves. And the more that you can communicate outwardly, hey everyone, I just want to let you know, this is just like a hypothetical example. I just want to let you know I've ruptured my eardrum and I'm really having a hard time with it. And unfortunately, I can't. Communicating that allows you to say, like, be on that conversation and be like, okay, I'm no longer feeling stressed from all of the messages that come in because I've put myself out there and told them, hey, everyone, I'm going to be a little bit disconnected for a bit because this hypothetical situation might have happened. And I have found that that is what allows you to start being able to breathe. So even if the boundaries themselves can't come or are going to come later, communicating hi, I've taken on a new job and it looks like it's a lot more than I expected it to be. I love working for KC Game On, but I'm gonna probably take a step back. I can't wait to keep checking in, but look for me at the start of Q2, and I'll give everybody an update. Nobody will ever mind of that kind of stuff, and at least it gives you some breathing room, I guess, and starts the process of learning how to set a boundary. That was just an example.
No, I love all that, and your example is very hypothetical. I don't think it would ever happen to anyone.
I don't
rupturing
know
an eardrum.
anyone who ruptured an eardrum.
I really like what AG said about the sparkle part. If you're not passionate and if it doesn't make you sparkle, one of the things, especially within my program, is creating other opportunities. And I'm just going to share my awesome afternoon is that our sports management department, I pitched them adding a certificate in minor. I met with them today and they're on board. They're like, yes, how can we do this? So we're going to have it for fall 2024. But during the conversation, they were talking about who's going to teach this class and who's going to add this to it. And it's actually going to be a easier, straightforward process than we all thought. But they asked about a summer course, and none of them want to take a summer course or teach a summer course. And one of the ladies like, Jackie, you can do that this summer, right? Like start now. And they're all just like, I didn't say anything for a little bit. I'm like, I'm gonna have to think about that. I didn't say no. I didn't say yes, but I think it's important to, when people pressure you, because she just kept saying, Jackie's going to teach us. Jackie, you can do this, right? She doesn't know who I am. But I'm just like, I'm going to have to think about that. Next year, I would be more than happy to teach the summer course. But this year, I'm probably, no, I will not be able to do that. But I need time to think about it too, so.
Okay, that silence though is the worst. That silent hole. I've had people say that to me. It's like if there is awkward silence, that's when I volunteer first because I hate awkward silence so much that like if everyone's like, who's gonna do this? I don't want to do it. I don't have the time to do it. But if no one is talking, that's when I'm like, well, I guess me. And I have to learn to be like, silence is cool. Just let it be silent. It's not my job to fill the silence with volunteering.
Are we all silence fillers? I count to 20
Oh, do
in my
you?
head.
Good.
Yeah.
I don't
So
think
I
I
hold
could
out.
ever make it to
Nope.
20. I could make it to
Like,
like
I had
5.
to. So
I
I
hold out.
took that leadership certificate course, and it was all about like supposedly grad school is about like talking to each other, and theorizing and things. So there's a lot of different levels of education in that certificate class. It wasn't just like people who have bachelors or anything like that. And there was a lot of students that just were completely silent, and every day it's me talking. So at some point I'm like, I am now the class pet, so I have to count to 20 to allow other people time to get up the strength to talk in the middle of class. So I would count to 20. I would still be the first to talk, everyone, because I didn't count fast. But count to 10, even if it. You can count to 10, AJ. Count to 10. But
10.
basically, people aren't going to volunteer because, like, if you're in the room, they know you're going to volunteer. People aren't going to be that person. Sari's going to volunteer. Jackie, Danielle, we're all
No,
going to
I'll volunteer
volunteer.
behind the scenes. I'll volunteer after the meeting is over and no one has said anything, and I'll send a DM. If no one does this, I will happily volunteer, but I won't do it during the meeting or anything. I'm
That's
a silent
really
volunteer.
smart.
It's
That's
me.
a
I
really
am-
good strategy. Like just
I'm
to
not the silent one.
consistently say, I'm like, wait. I know. I need to learn to be silent.
I do too.
Yeah.
I like that, plan, Jackie. Okay, I'm gonna start trying that though. I'm gonna start it tomorrow. I'm gonna not volunteer for anything in the moment. I'm always gonna volunteer after the fact. I feel like that'll at least help.
Or I'll
Volunteer.
get back to you. I'll think about it. It's because then you're not committing to it, and they'll still consider you.
I need to work on my timeline of allowing, like Sari said about, oh, I can meet with you in May. Like, I need to work on not allowing people to have direct, immediate access to me, because like part of it is, oh, well, I have time. Let me fill up this space, and then I'm not eating or something like that. But I think that I have to work on that personally because they already contacted me. They want to meet with me. So what is 1 week waiting? What is a 2 week wait period? Like, they'll be all right if they don't meet then. Obviously, if it's like some important Lady Gaga shows up and says we're gonna meet, we're gonna have direct access. I chose Lady Gaga. She seemed yes, but like if it's not Lady Gaga, we ain't meeting.
Hypothetically,
two
emailing you that they're on campus and need to meet with you right away.
Right now, I'm here right now.
I'd drive there. I'd leave this conversation. I'd be like, sorry guys, Gaga's on campus. I gotta go. Why is she at Lawrence Tech? I don't know, but she is there.
Oh my god. Amazing.
I digress.
I like it. No, I've had that. I'm trying to be like, hey, I'm here right now. That's wonderful. I am unavailable. Like I'm just it's hard. It's weird. But it's also
You're
like
allowed to.
I know, but everybody always talks about like you have to set boundaries, but no one ever talks about like how you get to the point of being able to set a boundary. It's not something you can be like, "Oh, I do. Okay. Hello, I no longer work Tuesday nights." Like I can't. It's not. It's there's.
You could just not.
Progress,
Let's just
you know?
not answer. Let's not answer on Tuesday nights, guys.
But you know, it's like that. It's those baby steps are important, and I felt like that. What Jackie just said is a really good tip of the like. If all I do is not volunteer in the moment, I think that could probably cut at least 30% of the things I find on my plate. Even just doing that by waiting, you know? I don't know. I really do think that's a really good point that I never really thought about. I just want the conversation to move so bad. I'm like, I'll do it. What's next? Okay.
I think esports
you're
is
like,
just
I don't
hard
know
though
when I'm-
too. Like our hours aren't 9 to 5. My husband has a work phone and his personal phone, and after what he gets done at work at like 4, he shuts his
That's
phone off,
bullshit.
and they're expected to because they're not expected to work afterwards.
What is
So
that
I feel like I feel like we don't have that in esports because
No.
like I have after hours work. But again, that's why we're talking, because I think we're creating a work-life balance where we need to set hours for ourselves, no matter what those are. And again, beginning of the season, we're all probably going to be working 60 plus hours, but that we're expected to do that, and we know that's happening, and then it'll trickle down, hopefully. But we need to start creating those hours so that the people that come after us know that they're not going to get burned out, and that it is okay to work in esports, and you're not always going to work 60 plus hours unless you're AJ.
No,
and
you're
JJ.
gonna work
Yes.
80.
Yeah.
I did my total that last week for WAC the break before. All the hours that I was there on campus or was doing something related to esports, and yeah, it was 80 hours. And this is my first salary job, and I was always an hourly employee. Turns out I need to make boundaries for myself because salary is not a way for me to stay not toxic to myself. I have no boundaries. I will work till I cannot work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the thing that I think for us, like, do better, right, is something that we are really trying to embrace. And I think the one thing that I would like to see us, and like not us personally, but like all of us, like collegiate esports entirely, like do better, is just realize that esports is not an emergency. There's no reason that anybody needs to be sending me a DM at midnight. I got DMs at midnight just last night about eligibility paperwork, and there's no reason that anybody needs to be sending me a DM at midnight over eligibility paperwork. And there's no reason that anybody needs to expect me to respond at midnight over eligibility paperwork. So I think that if and I still see folks that are posting on Twitter that are almost they're almost glorifying, I put this amount of hours into my program, and like I commend you for like caring that much about your program, and I commend you for like wanting to ensure that your program is running efficiently and you are getting everything done that you need to get done so your students have a good experience. But like at the end of the day, like if you are burning the candle at both ends, even if you think that you are putting on a good face to your students, they know. They know. When I was after I had left my university, there are a few students that I still keep in contact with, that I am still close with. Um, and they of course never mentioned it to me while I was their current coach or director, whatever you want to call me. But they had mentioned after I had left that they could tell that I was breaking down. They could tell that I was not the same person that I was when they first met me. And they could tell that when I would disappear for 30 minutes at a time, I was crying in my car. But they could tell that like something was not right.
Does not compute.
Something was not adding up. So again, while like putting in that amount of time, like is you want to make sure that your program is running well. But if you are putting in that much time, I think the tool that Jackie had mentioned, where you're able to literally quantify the projects that you're working on, how much time that it's taking you to work on all of these different projects and events, you need to turn that in to whoever you are working for, and you need to let them know, like, this takes X amount of time, this project takes X amount of time, and that's going to be the only way that you're able to get additional staffing, whether that's a student worker, whether that's an assistant coach, whether that is something or someone, some tool, some person, some resource, so they can help alleviate that, so you don't have to go cry in your car for 30 minutes. Don't let that happen.
Yeah.
Hug.
Well, and I feel that too in the sense of like, especially in the esports space, a lot of us got to the jobs we did because this is something we love to do. And so at that point, does the work life balance blend too much together that it makes it difficult? And I've seen people talk about things like they have a separate Discord for gameplay versus Discord for work. And I think that's really great if that's something that you use a lot for free time. It's like the gaming equivalent of having two phones, I guess. You know what I mean? Like to be able to like shut one out. I rely very heavily on compartmentalizing. It's very important to me. And so if it's like I am not going to work on this at this, if you're friends and you work together and there's things and you game together and you do all of these things, and being able to compartmentalize, like there's a client that we work with a lot that we're also friends with that I also do side work for, and being able to say, this is the avenue where I'll have conversations about work. This is the avenue where I'll have conversations about friendship. This is the avenue where I'll have conversations about, projects that we're going to work on moving forward. And not blending those areas together is helpful. Like they'll text me, hey, can we get a meeting on the books for Tuesday? And be like, you can you email me about that? Thank you. That's where I'm going to be kind of navigating that. And is it perfect? No, but like compartmentalizing is where you find the room to do the things that you really want to do. And so obviously we've talked a lot about the first step in work-life balance is balancing work. But the second part is adding in life and making sure that you have room for it. I saw a thing, and I haven't tried this yet, but I really want to. Like I do a lot of compartmentalizing my day, like what Jackie was saying, how she blocks out time. I do a lot of like, this is where I have time to work on this thing. This is where I have time to work on this thing. Sometimes it blends, but it allows me to not do too much for one project, to make sure like, hey, I'm willing to give myself 4 hours this week to work on NACE board of directors stuff. There's a bunch of things that need to happen within it. There's going to be a lot of other things outside of those 4 hours that come up, and I will put those in next week's 4 hours. And is that always going to be ideal? No, but I'm going to work on that, and I'm going to do that. And it's helped a bit because that's the only way you can inch yourself closer to getting that free time to be able to do the things that you want to do. My favorite saying that I heard a very long time ago, and I keep in my head so often in this, is your lack of planning does not constitute my emergency. So refusing to take on somebody else's bullshit because they haven't figured it out is something I've only gained over the age of 40. It's something I've wanted to do for a really long time, but it's that conversation of like, I know this is important to you now. It's not important to me. You didn't plan accordingly. I'm not here to save you. Because when your life becomes a series of putting out fires, you will absolutely, positively never, ever, ever achieve work-life balance.
And you'll
so
catch on fire yourself.
Yes, you will catch on fire yourself. We don't want to do that, guys.
Cody, I responded out loud, and I didn't mean to. Carla, our administrative assistant at my job, always says that. And so I think this year has been that last lesson for me, Sari. I think you know that though. So this is don't do it, guys, because somebody else will do the work. You don't have to be the one to do the work. They're probably not going to do it as good as you, but that ain't your problem. Not your circus. They fill the rest in.
And we'll continue this conversation too in our Discord because we're going to check in again in the third quarter, and we want to see how everybody's been improving. So if you have not already joined our Discord, you should join our Discord and share any success stories or moments when you're like, man, I really didn't do it today, guys, and I definitely should have said no and I didn't say no, or I did say no and I'm so proud of myself. We'd love to keep the conversation going because that's how you hold yourself accountable,
Cody asked you a question though, so
what
you respond to that. Yeah, nah, that's not a me question. Up like 4.
What goose
5.
gator do I have to
Fight? What goose or gator do I have to fight to get a wholesale jersey?
Oh,
That's definitely a gator.
yeah.
Oh, you get one, Cody.
September 10th I'm gonna send you a jersey. Did I get it right?
Yeah, I think
13th.
so.
When is your birthday? 10th. Close. 13th.
11th.
13th.
Just start.
She's
You will have
so
your
mean to me
birthday.
right now. Of all the people in here, listen, there's way too many Virgos on my team, and it's really hard to navigate all our same personalities.
Mhm.
Different Virgoing.
All right, so
Cody?
we've got a couple of minutes left before we
What
close
announcement
for the
are-
night.
Is Sari gonna make?
We do. I was gonna say we do have an announcement, but I would like everybody to go around the room, and I want everybody to give like one work-life balance hack or tip where this is something that I've implemented or this is something that I've done that seems to have worked and have helped me with my work-life balance. I'll go first. I
Good
think,
job.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'll go first since I'm just posing the
And
question.
then it's Jackie, and then it's Sari, and then it's me, because that's the way of the clock. So,
Uh, so I would say that my tip for some work-life balance, one thing that I like to do is when it hits 5 o'clock, I this is gonna sound wild. When it hits 5 o'clock, sometimes when you're in the middle of things, right, and like like okay, like 5 o'clock or whenever you guys are like done with work, whether it's 8, 9, 10 when games end, sometimes you're like, oh well, I could bang out a couple more emails. I could sit here and write a couple of more Discord messages. But I actually sit in my living room because I work from home. I sit in my living room and my cat's automatic feeder goes off at 5 o'clock. So I know when the automatic feeder goes off, the laptop closes. So I try to use like auditory signals to like, okay, like that's it. Like the feeder has gone off, the cat is eating, the laptop closes. So I try to almost trick myself. Like the feeder goes off, my cat knows it's time to eat. The feeder goes off, Ashley knows it's time to stop working. So I try to use different auditory like alarms on my phone or my cat's feeder to try to help signal to me to stop working, eat lunch, take a break, go for a walk. So those are some tips that I might have.
I feel like I've given a lot today, but one that so when I'm onboarding new students or new employees, I make sure to let them know what my working hours are, and that if I text or message them during their non-working hours, to ignore me and to reply to me when they are back on. So I'll specifically be like, hey, I'm available these times and these times. And if you need to set up a meeting with me, you actually have to email and set up a meeting with me. Otherwise, I'll forget about it. Kind of like Sarah, you just said about the texting. I need it on my calendar to be there for a reason because that's where my blocks are. And then outside of those hours, I tell them that, you know what, there's not a guarantee that I'll respond. So if you actually want me to respond, it has to be during those working hours that I give you. And I hold you to the same accountability. I might message you outside of those hours, but I don't expect you to reply to them unless you're actually working.
That's so smart. I would like to try to get to a place of that soon, someday. I'd say my biggest thing, for those that don't know, but I feel like everybody knows, but I have a 9-year-old son named Bodhi, named after the 1991 hit classic Point Break. Anyway.
No shit. Okay, anyway, go ahead. Okay,
So,
go,
yeah.
Go ahead.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah,
I
that's
love
what
Point Break. I just can't tell you how much I love Point Break. So go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, so he's the best. It's him and I. We have a really great thing together. Sorry, Cody's cracking me up in the chat. It's just the two of us, and really love our life and everything together. So last fall, he started playing Little League baseball, and he got really into it. I got more into it than I really expected that I was going to get into it. But I committed to never missing a baseball game. Ever. And I have not ever missed one, and I especially have not missed one for work. But my biggest thing that I've been doing that I think is helping is I tell people that. I say, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to go. I've got a hard out in 5 minutes. I've got Little League. I'm not going to try to hide it. I want to celebrate the fact that that's a priority to me. And I want to put that forward so people know this is a work-life balance that I'm not willing to move. So I'm glad that you want to get together on that time. I can't. I have Little League, but I'll catch you up another time. And I think communicating makes me feel less pressure. It allows me, even sometimes when people are supporting it, I share photos. I go, hey, sorry I missed the call, but look where I was and look what happened this evening, and he got a great hit or whatever it is. But I have not missed a single moment of baseball. I don't plan on missing a single moment of baseball unless we get a little carried away and we start doing this more often. But and I am proud of myself for that, and I'm proud of the way that I communicate outwardly that the reason I'm declining this meeting is for family time, because I think that should become more of the norm.
Guess it's me. Yeah. I obviously already said this. I think it's important to really, this is a much bigger thing, it's not a smaller thing. Recognize the things that aren't serving you purpose, and the things that you are like all consuming that you could potentially remove. Obviously stepping away from something is a big deal. But it's going to personally free up so much time. So understanding that, hey, I can't do everything all the time because I'm not a superhuman. Superstar, I was gonna say I'm not superhuman. I am human. So maybe just pick couple things that I really want to be good at, and great at, and just not a bunch of things I want to be good at. So there you
That's
go.
awesome.
And you got magic hands.
From the great Ron Swanson, don't half-ass two things, full-ass one thing.
Hey,
our big announcement. Okay, so I'm only gonna start off, and I'm gonna pass it on.
Cut it off.
I did. That's part of my job. So a lot of you know we've been trying to push our roundtables, esports and coffee, and creating meaningful discussions in person for those in the collegiate space. And I'm going to just say we're the three of us are very thankful for the opportunity that Sari and Full Sail has given us, and I want Sari to announce it.
Oh, sure. So next week, Full Sail will be celebrating their 13th Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame week at Full Sail is, I guess, our version of a homecoming. I think most people here know that Full Sail is not a very traditional university, and we have different schedules than everybody else. But at our Hall of Fame week, we induct 6 graduates into the Hall of Fame. Those graduates have to have been in the industry for at least 10 years. They have to be successful in their fields, and they have to continue to give back to students at Full Sail, whether by offering internships, hiring, coming back and giving talks, or mentorship. And every year, 6 grads get inducted into the Hall of Fame. We do an entire week-long celebration that includes panels and presentations, cosplay contests, concerts, a humongous gaming event called Hall of Game that is this coming Sunday starting at 4:30, twitch.tv/Full Sail Armada. You should check it out. It's going to be amazing. And we do a ton of networking activations. Really, all this is an opportunity for the students to plug in to their careers after graduation. We have a huge career networking event where companies are coming from all over that are hiring now and are helping students. We do a tech expo where we showcase technology. And last year we started an area called Armada Connects, which is just an area for folks that are either within Full Sail Armada or in our esports degree program or interested in esports, to just have a moment to kind of connect with each other and sort of talk things through. This year, that event will be hosted by Esports and Coffee and sponsored by Esports and Coffee to help facilitate jobs that are within the esports industry that are beyond playing, and how you can kind of prepare yourself for the industry in a variety of ways. Love that Esports and Coffee is going to support that and facilitate that. Really excited to have everybody on our campus next week and kind of show everybody what it is. But there's going to be a ton of stuff going on all through YouTube. It's able to watch online. Definitely look at Esports and Coffee socials and just kind of see what everything is. I'm going to tee up though, because our first event, we kick off the week with what we call a Hall of Game. And it has a different theme every year. And what I'm so excited about this year, because of the way Full Sail's curriculum is structured, we have an accelerated degree program. So you get a full bachelor's degree in about 20 months. And so we graduate a lot of people. We have a graduation every month and a start every month. So because of that, we found ourselves in a situation now where, with how long we've been in esports and how long with our grads that are in the industry, we have the ability to have grads that were varsity athletes while they were here with us on campus and are now working in their fields come back to campus as a team to play the current varsity team. So we're doing that for Smite. Yes, I know, but we have a huge Smite community at Full Sail. I don't really know where it comes from, but we love Smite. Valorant and Overwatch. So the current varsity teams for all three of those games will be playing all of the alumni players that are coming back to compete against them. And they're coming from all over the country. They're all working in various jobs. So that's going to be a really exciting moment. And then they'll all be here with us for the week. We also have a bunch of online students that are able to kind of come to campus for the first time. It's just exciting all around. But really excited to have Esports and Coffee with us to kind of lead our conversation about inclusivity, to lead our conversation about career opportunities after graduation, what you can kind of be doing now to have that conversation, and just excited all around. So thank you guys for coming.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
It's gonna
We've been
be
keeping it under the wraps.
dope.
Yeah,
I'm so
it's been-
excited.
Well, AJ made it her Twitch or Twitter.
Nobody said anything about it. Nobody
I
said,
did,
"Oh my
and then I was
God."
like, I'm gonna change mine since AJ did it because I didn't spill the beans because I am not the quiet one. I mean, I actually am. That's a lie. That's a lie. I
You're the
keep
one where we need an
secrets.
extrovert to come help an introvert.
Yes.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, but I also keep really good secrets for a long time.
And on that note, ladies, are we all out of coffee?
I think so.
I want to go get some more.
I don't have anything.
All right, well, thank you for joining us, guys. We will be back in 2 weeks. The topic in 2 weeks is talking about salaries in esports. I'm talking about upward mobility, salary ranges. It's gonna be a good one.
Spicy.
Next week, just keep an eye on socials in terms of Full Sail Hall of Fame and see what we're up to. But until then, we'll catch you guys later.
Like,
Yes,
Take
we'll
care,
post
everybody.
pictures.
Bye.
We'll post pictures. Don't worry.